Hello everybody, welcome to another Valheim video. Today we're going to be learning how to hand place locations in Valheim. Locations are any of the points of interest that you find. The dungeons, the caves, the camps, the houses, all of them. But before we continue too much, I want to make a distinction between hand-picked location placement and procedural location placement. There's another way to place locations where you populate them throughout the entire world procedurally. I'm not going to show you that in this specific video. I'm going to focus on hand placing locations. Specifically, we're going to learn two different ways that you can hand place locations in Valheim. We'll need to learn about the location registry. Because believe it or not, even though from your perspective you're seeing a charred fortress, if I were to use Infinity Hammer here, and then I were to set the hammer to place a charred fortress, right? So let's place it right there. They're actually not the same. The charred fortress on the right is registered in the location registry of the world, whereas the charred fortress on the left is not registered. So let's force a location reset and see what happens. If we allow a location reset to run, we can see that the one on the right respawned, but nothing happened to the one on the left. And that's because the left location is not registered in the location registry. So what is this registry and how do we access it? Well, you can't really look at it in vanilla Valheim, but if you use Upgrade World to respawn locations, then you get a series of commands that allow you to look at the location registry. In this situation, we're going to use the locations list command, which shows us what locations are nearby, in this case within 3 zones of our current zone. As you can see, there's a Grey Dwarf camp, a crypt, a Stonehenge, a dolmen, and a charred fortress, the charred fortress on the right. However, the charred fortress on the left does not show up because it is not registered. As you saw earlier, we placed the fortress on the left using the hammer location command, which allows you to spawn any location in the game at the point that your hammer points at. However, keep in mind that anything you spawn this way is not entered into the location registry. It's just the game objects that make up the location file, so to speak. But this begs the question, how do you spawn things in the second way? How do you spawn things without using Infinity Hammer? Well, it's quite simple. First off, the most important thing when spawning locations is to be aware of zone limitations in Valheim. Valheim deletes and handles things by working within the constraints of a single zone. You can tell where the zones are because the ground gets all messed up and you see them this way. But there's also ways to make ESP and other mods show it up more easily. But for now, we're going to move on. We saw that this was spawned using Infinity Hammer, so now let's go for another charred fortress right over here in this other zone next to these two. This time, we're just going to go location, and then register charred fortress, okay? And then boom, we have registered the charred fortress to the location. But what happened? Well, nothing's happened. And that's because after you register the location, you have to use Upgrade World to, again, reset the nearby locations. So I'm going to force restart all nearby locations to my current position. Now that everything has finished running, we can see that there is a third charred fortress in that new area that we just registered. And to be clear, this location register, location list, world reset thing, these are all commands that you can use using the mod Upgrade World. This mod makes vanilla changes to the world, so everything you do with it is going to be completely compatible on a client that doesn't have the mod installed. You have to use the Upgrade World mod to run the commands, but afterwards it's completely vanilla compatible. As you can see, the charred fortresses here on Path of Magic have some different rules, but the rules only happen if it's a registered fort. So you have a vanilla fort right there, and then you have these two Path of Magic style charred fortresses, which are much more reactive. But for now what we're going to do is, let's imagine that you put something in the wrong place, or gosh forbid, you registered a location on a zone border, and now only half of it's deleting and it's a mess. Well, the good news is there's a command for you. All you need to do is locations, remove, zone, and then max distance equals 1. force, and then start. This will force remove every location that is within one zone of your current location. So, make sure you have backups and copies of your worlds. You shouldn't just be doing this kind of stuff, because it could go wrong if you accidentally delete everything in the entire world. Let's run this. Oh, there we go. As you can see, it wasn't fully deleted, but most of the Charred Fortress stuff vanished. And this is exactly what I was talking about. This is what happens when you place locations too close to the zone border. In general, it's a really good practice to place things exactly in the center so that they have as much space as possible. That being said, once you have removed the actual location, it's not going to come back, so you can just get rid of whatever straggling objects were there. And that's how you get rid of the locations and completely stop them from respawning. Now we could run a locations reset command, just like this. And then we see that 3 locations reset, a Mistlands Lighthouse, a Dolmen, and a Stonehouse. Where's the Charred Fortress? Nothing's here, because we removed them from the location registry, and we deleted all the items, so they really don't exist anymore. And now you've seen the difference between manually placing something with Infinity Hammer and registering the location and then causing it to spawn with Upgrade World. If the player is going to conquer the area and then maybe build a base there, you don't want to register the location because that would cause it to restart, voiding their base. But if you want a reliable area that always has certain kinds of things to fight, like Goblin, etc., etc., in that case, you might opt to use the location register option so that it does restart with the location's restart command. It really depends on what you're trying to do. The next thing you'll need, I showed you how to do it with Charred Fortresses, but you can do it with any of the locations in the game. All you need is access to the names of those locations. So here you are. Luckily for us, Jotun has a database, so you can just go Jotun and then prefab database Valheim, and you'll find these GitHub pages called prefabs. And from here on the left, you can find the location list. And if you load this up, you get a list with all of the information about every location in current Valheim. Now you know everything that you need to know to respawn and hand place locations on the server. But keep in mind that there are other ways to populate locations onto the server by changing the ways that Valheim procedurally places them. And these mechanisms are also vanilla compatible. If you want to learn more about that, then you can start learning the Expand Data mod by Yair Kusela. Speaking of that, if you want to support my work, then consider renting your own dedicated Valheim server to set up your own custom experiences and invite other people on. If you stick with the vanilla method, then these people you invite will not have to have any mods at all installed, but you can give them a completely altered Valheim experience. The world really has become your oyster, so to speak. Alternatively, if you want to play on a world that has been completely obsessed with changing mechanics and adjusting things, answering problems with EWP scripts, then check out Path of Magic, the public free-to-play Valheim server that I've run that's been persistent for over a year. You can learn more about that by joining the Poolside Discord. The link is in the bottom of the description at the bottom of this video. Alternatively, you could just like this video or any other video about Valheim, and that'll show YouTube that you want to see more of this kind of content. And if there's something that you'd like me to make a tutorial about, then just ask. I love making tutorials in response to people's ideas in the comments. You'd be surprised. Sometimes things are quite quick and easy to do. So if you have an idea and it's something simple I could make fast, I'll get to it. So comment below with your ideas and let's see if we can get some scripts made for you. That's it for now, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.